What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more acid-trance. So we're going back to one of the all-time masters, Mr. Nostrum, aka Bernd Augustinski, German producer, most famous for his melodic acid-trance, I'd say like early to late 90s. He continued to make tunes into the first few years of the 2000s. Those tracks aren't quite as legendary and like highly coveted on Discogs as his 90s tracks. But honestly, I mean, I listen to a lot of really great acid trance producers, Pablo Gargano, Kors, Kai Tracid, many people will know, the late Commander Tom, R.I.P. Just, there's so many great acid trance producers from back in the 90s, but very few of them were like as committed to making melody with the acid box, meaning like a lot of acid trance that'll have like a wicked acid line or like a sort of rhythmic acid sort of flavor to it, but like the melody itself might be like a different kind of synth. But in a lot of Nostrum's tracks, it's like the bass line is acid, the melody is acid, there'll be like a rhythmic acid snarl. Like he really is just, he was so committed to making music from the acid box, the Roland TB-303, in like pretty much every way you could. So once again, big ups to Nostrum. We're going to listen to one of my favorites from him. It's on an EP with maybe my favorite track from him of all time. This is the Nostrum EP number 4 on German label Time Unlimited, which was essentially like, I mean, there were a lot of artists on the label, but there was a period where like, I feel like he was sort of the rock star of the label. He was the person putting out the EPs that were most highly coveted. Now, again, I didn't get into trance and techno until late 96, early 97. So this, like, me learning about his earlier stuff, 93, 94, 95, this took place over the next several years, and again, especially once I got Discogs, or I started using Discogs, I should say, which is like 04 under another account, and then I came to the current account that I still use in 06, so... yeah, and then, once you start exploring on Discogs, you can learn a lot of things, I'll just say that. But yeah, Baby is one of my all-time favorite tunes from him. I did react to it before, and we're going to now listen to a tune on the other side called Polaris, which is another one of my favorite tunes, but very different from Baby. It's a much more like contemplative, even melancholic, it's a bit sad, one might even say, but it does have acid, it has drive, and it's just a real like compelling tune, despite the fact that it has a very different flavor from my favorite tune from Nostrum. I was going to say Polaris, which didn't make sense. So anyway, let's get it. This is Nostrum. The tune is Polaris, and it's on his EP number 4 on Time Unlimited. I think this is 95. Let me just see if I can confirm that. Does it say? Yes, 1995. So 1995, Nostrum, and the tune is Polaris. I think, before I start this actually, I've had this record a long time. I think it was shortly after I started using Discogs when I started getting some acid trance that I had long, coveted or, had tried to find, which is to say, you heard a track back in the day, maybe you heard like a melody and like, can you hum it to someone else to like, oh, do you know this tune? Maybe there's like one line, but maybe you didn't hear the sample perfectly. So yeah, there were some tunes that took me a while to get, and this tune doesn't have any samples in it, so some of Nostrum's tracks were like, they took me a little while to track down. Regardless, this track, I think, may have a skip in it, which is to say, I played it for a number of years in sets, and I don't ever remember it having an issue. In one of my acid trance sessions video mixes, I think there's like 15 up on the channel, maybe 16, I used this in one that was in the last few, and it actually skipped. Like, I remember very distinctly, like, hearing it skip and being like, oh my god, what just happened? So I guess we'll find out, but I think maybe in the first couple minutes there's going to be an actual skip on the record. Not just a pop, but an actual skip. So let's find out. layers of rising and falling acid lines. Such a weird, like, maybe sad is too strong, but it's like, contemplative is right, but there's an emotion to it. I'm just not quite sure, like, how to characterize the emotion perfectly. Longing. Have it confirmed. Shnooz's copy of Polaris has a skip. This poses challenges as a DJ. You can mix in after this point, but you're missing like the first 30% of the tune. But I could start a mix with this breakdown. Which have made an impact on you are sort of like standard candles in your life history. It's sort of like, oh yeah, it was a few years ago. Oh damn, it was 15 years ago now. Holy shit, it was almost 30 years ago now. Well, it still sounds good. A bit more grit. It's like the sort of middle, more intense section, which, you know, Baby does the same thing, but the middle section of Baby is maybe my favorite like section in any Nostrum track. One of many. Which isn't to say like I don't like this, but it's sort of like it's a little more like subtle, whereas the middle section of Baby, the acid guns are just like, forget about it. There's basically no way to play it, not without like, you know, throwing up your hands in advance, like, hey folks, you know, it's gonna skip. So, at some point I may have to try to replace this. Not easy though, right? A record 30 years ago by a highly like sought after artist. There's a squelchier layer like on the bottom. So subtle, but it's funny because like a lot of his acid work is very floaty and melodic, but he can go hard and squelchy when he wants. rising and falling like, how do I put it? It's sort of like a chirping acid line, but it's just sort of like lightly guiding the rest of the track. Oh, the acid work. Cyclic scuff on the way out the door. What can I say? I played this record a lot over the years. I didn't realize the condition was this bad. Going into this, it was sort of like, okay, we're going to confirm once and for all, if there's a skip in the first couple minutes, but that was only part of the story. Oh, it's in that lower, like, mechanical layer. Majestic. I do apologize for the condition of my copy. As I said, I knew it had some issues. I didn't know it was quite that bad. And as I said, it is basically to the point where I can't really use that in a mix anymore. Because I get really like, you know, number one, it's jarring to anyone listening. It's like, wait, like it just took it out of the rhythmic framework, which like that's the thing as a DJ. Like you mix for many years and like, I'm not even like paying attention to like, the actual beats in a measure. It's like my brain just like knows where we are like in a measure like rhythmically. So then like if suddenly one record skips and it throws that off, and you know whether or not you're actually mixing, even if you just have the records lined up, it's like, oh crap, now like I have to like you know take it off and like realign the new record, because you know I have no idea, did it skip forward, did it skip like back a second, like you know it's not clear exactly where it is in the measure. So yeah, as a DJ it just makes it really annoying, if not unplayable, when a record has like a notable skip, and that had two. So it is unfortunate. Like I said, Baby is still in great condition, which is weird. Like, again, I played them both equally over the years, so I don't know, maybe it's like, you know, the table got bumped once when Polaris was on it, and that sort of like, you know, jarred one of the grooves. I'm not sure, but thankfully probably my favorite tune from Nostrum, like at the very least, it's a leading contender. That one I think is still pristine, or not pristine, but intact, if you will. So yeah, like I said, I did react to that one. Check that out if you're interested. There's another tune on the record. I do like it. It's not quite as good as either Baby or Polaris, but it is a top track. So much more Nostrum available to go through. It's almost like, you know, I have so much Nostrum because I have like 2 of his full albums, I have one of his remix albums, and then I have like, I don't know, 6 or 7 EPs. I have a lot of stuff by Nostrum, so I'll go through and I'll see what else might be you know, on the cards in the immediate future. But if you do, like, I know Tassos is a big fan of Nostrum, but if any of you know his work and there's a track that you're pretty sure I have, which again, you can check my Discogs collection. I still have it linked on my YouTube channel as like one of the like external website links. But yeah, if you see something in my collection from Nostrum that you'd like to hear, do let me know. Other than that, I will see you next time. Peace.